You're live.
Yeah.
Great, fantastic. Hi everyone, I am Stacy, the CEO of Keep.com. And again, Keep is pleased to celebrate Women's History Month. We have this great and amazing series that our team actually brainstormed and put together called Style and Grit, How to Get the Job You Want. We are featuring 6 women this month in the fashion industry that will tell you their secrets in one of the hardest industries on the planet, I think. And whatever industry you work in, we find that these tips on style and grit will be useful. And I'm so excited today to welcome our second guest, Torie Boehme. Hello.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
No, thank you so much for coming. So what we decided to do with this series is to make sure that we feature women from all levels of their career to give you some great hands-on advice. And Torie is here. She's the assistant buyer, luxury collections vetting at Macy's. So for all of you out there that are, I want to be a buyer one day, how do I start? Torie can give you some very good concrete advice about that, correct?
Yes.
Fantastic, perfect. So Torie, tell us just a tad bit about yourself. Looking where you are right now in your career, can you tell us how you got to where you are as an assistant buyer for Macy's?
So I knew I wanted to go into fashion. I've always been a very creative person. My first internship was at Max Mara here in New York. Yeah, I shadowed the buying and merchandising team there, and it was pretty much what you would expect as your first internship. It's kind of like Whitney poured on the city. So I was in the sample closet a lot, in the showroom, just preparing samples and preparing the showroom for press and buyer visits. Not that glamorous, but you learn a lot, just being hands-on, shadowing your boss. And from there, I knew that if I wanted to pursue corporate fashion as a career, I needed to have that store retail experience. So I was a manager in training anthropology for 2 years.
Oh, great.
Yeah, and that really gave me a lot of insight to what the customer wants and needs, taught me a lot about how to build teams and manage people. So the lessons that I learned there, really, I still take with me in a day-to-day basis today.
Fantastic.
And then I applied to be in the Executive Development Program at Macy's, which is actually the leading training company for retail careers in the company. And from there, I interviewed for the position that I'm in now, which is an assistant buyer. And yeah, that's how I got to where I am.
So let's just take a step back, because I know I get these questions all the time. Your internship at Max Mara, did you walk into, how did you get that internship? What did you do? Was it something advertised on LinkedIn? Tell everyone how you got that internship.
So I didn't really know, what companies were looking for interns or what companies really were out there. I just knew I wanted to be in a fashion internship. I had no idea what buying meant, what merchandising meant, planning, anything like that. So I looked every day on, Indeed.com, just tons of websites that have resources for fashion internships, and applied to as many as I could. And then took, I got a few offers, went for preliminary interviews, saw what fit best for me, and that's how I ended up there.
Fantastic. So just really quickly, so you mentioned Indeed. Is that your recommendation of where people should go, or did you look any place else besides Indeed?
I love LinkedIn. I love, I think just networking is really important. So anywhere that you could find the best resources for you is
great.
Yeah.
Great. So that's really good to know. Again, one thing I'll mention one thing about LinkedIn, because this is super important, and people always ask me this. Your LinkedIn profile and what's on LinkedIn is as important, or even maybe even more important than your resume.
Yes.
That's a great tip, because a lot of times people will send me their resume and I'll read it and review it, and then I'm like, oh, but then I look at their LinkedIn profile and it looks like a carnival compared to this professional, slick resume. So just remember, they both are important, okay? So let's just sort of talk about your time. I know you mentioned Max Mara, and this, we'll dig deeper into this throughout our series. You mentioned Max Mara and how it wasn't glamorous, but it still taught you lots of things.
Yes.
Can you just tell our followers the importance of having integrity, no matter what the job is, and how that can help you overall in your career? How it's helped you?
So I always have the mindset that you have to own your own development and really bloom where you're planted. And this just means excelling and being an expertise in the job description that you have, but also taking advantage of any opportunities, any experiences, any people and resources you have access to, and really just owning your own development, reaching out, getting all of the experiences you have, because if you're in this industry, if you're an intern or if you're a CEO, you have access to amazing resources, amazing people that you can learn from. So I think it's just so important. If you're not loving the job you're in, or if it's not challenging you, you need to go and be a go-getter and kind of just own, your own growth.
Absolutely. And something that I always say to people that I work with, and my philosophy in life is always, your job description is day to day. That's baseline minimum.
Exactly.
But even if it's not maybe the ideal thing at the time, you still have to put everything inside of it. You still have to do more than what is expected to stand out. So let's just talk way back. Your very first job, and please don't say anything glamorous like our last guest. Like my very first job was, but what was your very first job? Summer job, lemonade stand, or whatever that first job was. Could you tell the audience what that first job was?
I was actually, so I grew up dancing. I danced for 18 years and I was actually a student teacher at my local dance studio. So that was kind of my first step in leading people and working as a team, and I loved it.
So you were a dance instructor?
Yeah, for like 2-year-olds.
Oh, great.
It was so fun.
Well, am I the only person who had the first job in fast food? Everyone's like, I've been this, and I'm like, okay, I started really in the fast food industry. But so, what did you learn? It's like, again, I always think there's a takeaway. So you said you learned leadership. Was there anything that you learned from your first job experience that you could apply to other positions and other jobs?
I think that I was always setting an example for my students. So being your best, putting on your best when you're on the job, when you're, supposed to be an example for people, that's something that I learned that I take with me.
Great, fantastic, perfect. And so now we're going to get into fashion. Again, this series is about women who work in fashion, close to the fashion industry, but it's really supposed to be applicable for all women in all industries. And the reason why we started this month with fashion is simply because I do think either everyone's always calling or writing or sending even our team emails about working for Keep or how to get into the industry. And we all know that sometimes it has a reputation for being quite grueling, which it can be. But what inspired you, despite of all of the things that you may hear, what inspired you to get into fashion?
Like we said, I always grew up in a creative environment in the arts and dance, so I've always loved fashion and clothing. I love how it's a form of self-expression. You can form an outfit and it really says something about you. I love, the thing that I love most about fashion is the transformative quality of it. If you're in a bad mood, if you're feeling down, you can instantly put on an outfit like this amazing blazer and feel just a little, perk and pick me up.
Yeah. And I think that's super important. And I think that's the point of our series. And actually that's one of our baseline values at Keep is the feel good, the aspect of yourself. And this is why we have people like you talking to our followers today. So they understand that feeling good is about the quality of your work, what you do, being deliberate about your career, and also how something that you put on can transform you and really change your mindset. And thank you for the compliment on the blazer. So let's talk about a couple things. Speaking of feeling good, what are some things that you feel that are necessary in your closet as a refresh? What are some of those important pieces in your closet that you think as you are going through your career, like, I'm going to have this plus this to refresh my closet? What would those be?
So I think that you need to have your staple kind of pieces for your professional wardrobe, but for an instant refresh, I love adding just new accessories and shoes. If it's a scarf or a belt, jewelry, shoes, a bag, that could totally transform an outfit to, what it looked like with, your old closet.
Fantastic, great. And let's talk about this season, because I know everyone's always asking, again, thank you for all of our keepers and our followers. So they're asking about, if I had to invest in 5 pieces this season, what would those 5 pieces be? Do you have your list?
I do.
Okay, perfect.
So, given that it's still winter in New York City,
Yes.
even though it's almost April, my number one for winter is suede thigh-high boots.
Oh.
And I love the Stuart Weitzman ones with the block heel. They're super easy for day or night.
Yeah.
Can wear them with a skirt, dress, pants, anything.
Great.
I would say my biggest outerwear want and need is a camel coat. I love camel because it's a neutral alternative. And it's very sophisticated, goes with anything.
Well, I hope from Max Mara you hopefully
Yes.
got, okay, perfect.
They're kind of known for their staple camel coats.
That's actually, if anyone from Max Mara is listening, I've always wanted one myself. They're known
Gorgeous.
for their super chic, super
Yes.
elegant, and timeless.
Yes, very timeless. I think a pair of light wash denim, whatever silhouette fits best to your body. I'm loving the straight leg cropped denim
Yes,
because
absolutely.
it's super easy. You can wear them with a tall boot in the fall, winter, and then transform it into spring, summer with a lace-up sandal or even a sneaker on your day off.
Great.
I think a chunky sweater dress for winter, of course.
Yes.
In any neutral color, obviously to pair with your thigh-high boots, because you always want to be cozy but cute at the same time. And then for my professional wardrobe, my go-to is a pair of high-waisted, wide-leg black tailored pants to pair with any blouse or top. It instantly makes me feel very put together and tailored, and it's just very flattering.
Fantastic. So, this is going to sound, I'm going to ask this, so this is a bit off script, but tell me about a time when you had a meeting or your philosophy when you're getting ready for work.
Yeah.
Especially, we all know sometimes we have tough meetings, right?
Yeah.
And I have a philosophy in my mind sometimes, like the harder the meeting, the higher the heels, because it makes me, as my own personal self, it makes me feel like I'm dressed, right? And I know that sounds crazy, but that's just, that's how style sort of affects certain meetings. Tell us, do you have a philosophy, like when you know you have a tough meeting, or you know you have a huge presentation or something like that? Do you have something that you just have to wear for good luck?
So my biggest philosophy is be comfortable, because you want to be focusing on your work and how you're delivering your words and everything. You don't want to be fidgeting at your pants or your blouse.
Yep.
So definitely wear an outfit that you're comfortable in, that you feel confident in. I think that's the biggest number one for if you're going into a big meeting, if you're have a big presentation or anything like that.
Great, fantastic. I think that's really good advice, you're right. So let's talk about a few more things. If there was one thing that our viewers could do today, or if there's any advice you give or what you tell, obviously people that are starting off in their career, what could they do today to either make a change, to either be better, or to possibly land a job they want? Let's assume someone right now is already in the workplace. And if you could give one piece of advice, if they're like, what could I do today to make an even bigger impact on my company, or to even get people to recognize me? What would that be?
I think the biggest thing is networking, and going back to what we were talking about before, really utilizing your resources and the people around you. Just in my immediate team, I have connections to people from all over my company, and really getting your voice heard and your name out there is so important. People are going to remember you, and that's an easy way to make an impact, just connecting with people and making your name known.
And I'm going to say this time, and I say this all the time, and then tell me if you agree with this or not. People think that networking is outside of the office. What people need to understand, women need to understand, networking in the office and building your reputation with your peers and the job you have, and with the superiors, that is so important, because these people see you, they work with you, and they will be able to vouch for you long term.
Exactly. And you never know who you're going to come in contact with later in your career.
Absolutely.
You don't want to step on any toes. You want to maintain very strong and good relationships, because you never know what that person can do for you, when you're in your next job or when you're down the road in your career.
Absolutely. And just for the record, I think 70% of the job offers I've had have come from people that I used to work with. So it's not like I was just out of the cocktail one day and the next day. It's always people that have worked with me that really know me from the inside out. Cool. So another thing is, in terms of mentors, and this is again a question that first of all, thanks to all the followers who send all the questions, and we really appreciate that. But one of the number one questions we get are like, how do I get a mentor? Do you have a mentor?
I do. So actually, when I went through my training program at Macy's, you're kind of assigned a mentor for, to start out, to introduce you to Macy's and kind of to give you a not only professional advice, but just advice how to thrive within your company, within the people and the culture and everything like that. But then over time, I've also gained mentors. My biggest mentor is not my boss, is someone just on my team who I look up to and who I trust for advice. So I think having mentors are so important, and you can find mentors in your day-to-day. It doesn't have to be a higher up. It could be a peer. It could be, anyone that you really trust and value their opinion.
And I think that's super important. I love when you said it doesn't have to be someone who's at a higher level or your boss. It could be a peer. Some of my, I think, closest mentors actually are some of my peers. And I know that they will always tell me the truth.
Yeah.
And they literally have my interest at heart, their heart. So that's cool. Okay. So another question from one of our users. What advice do you give to young professionals looking to jumpstart their career? This is a good one.
I think, speaking in terms of the fashion industry, training programs are a must. In this day and age, training programs, I know they weren't around like forever, but with the major retailers having extensive training programs, it's a great way to jumpstart your career. You're in a program that infuses classroom learning with kind of firsthand experience, and you are introduced to every spoke in the company. So I trained in buying, in digital, in planning. I had experience in stores and visual. It's really great if you know you want to be in fashion, but you don't know exactly what. It's a great way to kind of put your foot in the door and get that experience to kind of segue into your professional career.
Fantastic. And we talked earlier today off camera about your foot in the door. And I think that's super important. So can you give some, I know that your dream is to become a buyer for ready-to-wear for women, right? Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. Can you talk to us about the importance of getting your foot in the door, and then when your foot is in the door, the importance that has to do with your long-term planning? Mm-hmm. When you get your foot in the door, and tell me, my philosophy is, it may not be exactly what you want at the very beginning, mm-hmm. but the importance still of giving that job just as much importance as if it were your absolute thing that you want to end with.
So I think the most important thing in your career is to give it your all where you're at right now. So after my training program, I was presented with a job in home, and I always had this dream of being in fashion, and I was like, home, I don't know what that means. I don't know. I don't own my own apartment, so I didn't really know much about home. But you have to take every experience for what it's worth. Really just give it your all, show your boss, show your peers, show your management that you're so dedicated to seeing the success of your business and to just striving to be the best that you can be where you are right now, and that's going to get you to where you eventually want to be.
That's great. I think it's excellent advice, Torie, because I think that sometimes people are like, well, this is not what I really want to do, so I'm going to take it easy. And I'm like, no.
Yeah.
You have to come in. My experience at Ferragamo, I was hired for the fragrance division, and my dream, of course, was fashion ready to wear. Mm-hmm. But if I would have went in and just came in like, oh well, I'm just gonna come in and hang out until they offer me a job in fashion.
You're gonna be waiting around forever.
You're waiting around forever, and you may be waiting around for a very long time because no one will. My experience, no one is going to think about you or consider you for other jobs if you're just doing the norm and keeping up with the one that you have. Mm-hmm. So I think that's excellent advice. So, a couple of style questions, because at Keep, we make women feel good, and it's part of that is shopping and always making sure that we have a point of view. So with that being the case, I'd love to have your point of view. Let's first start with powerful women. Could you give our followers, let's say 2 or 3 women who you feel are very powerful, that you love their style?
I would say I love Blake Lively. I love how she is a mom. She's pregnant and she always looks flawless. Yeah. I also think I love Aisha Curry right now. Yeah. She is also a mom, but she, doesn't live in the shadow of her husband. She's making a name for herself. She has a new cookware line, but she always just looks so professional and is really making a name for herself.
Great, fantastic. And then the last thing that we're going to do today, and we're going to basically play a game that we have on our app on Keep. So if you don't have our app at Keep, please download it and you will be able to play this as well. But we're going to play it live today called Keep It, Toss It, right? So I'm going to say, so the way our app works is that if we'll show you different images, different pics, and if you like it, you keep it, and if you don't, you toss it, right? So it's almost like the do's and the don'ts. So I'm going to name a couple things and you tell me, according to you, if this is something you should keep or toss.
Okay.
Ready? Black leggings.
Keep it.
Oh, I know. Birkin bag.
Toss it.
Oh, wow.
I think there's better things out there for the money that you're
Oh my
spending.
goodness, I love it. Okay, disco sparkles during the day.
During the day? Of course keep.
Fat chunky necklaces.
Toss.
Toss it, okay.
I love dainty jewelry.
Yes, I can see that. By the way. Plaids.
Keep.
Lace corsets.
Toss.
Toss, great. Fringe bags.
Toss.
Millennial pink.
Keep.
Oh, great, okay. Fanny packs.
Toss.
Sock booties.
Keep.
6-inch heels.
Toss.
Toss.
I'm already 5'8", so.
Oh, wow, okay. Bomber jackets.
Keep.
Ruffle jackets.
Toss.
Ruffle shirts.
Keep. I see what you did there.
I changed that one. Statement earrings.
Keep.
Okay, fantastic. Off the shoulder tops.
Keep.
Oh,
Love.
Yes, I know. White accessories like white booties, white handbags.
Keep. Yeah.
And remember last season, I wonder if it's going to come back. Pom-poms, like pom-poms on your slides, pom-poms on your bag.
Keep for summer.
Keep for summer.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So listen, Torie, this has been so amazing. I hope that our audience enjoyed you coming in. Congratulations, because I love your philosophy. You are on the absolute right track. And if I must say so myself, in terms of that attitude, that can-do attitude, because I do think it is about hard work. And it's also coupled with this can-do attitude that I think is super important. Just to let everyone know, we are continuing our series next Tuesday at 4 p.m., correct? At 4 p.m. we have Jasmine Aarons from Vos, and please come check her out. She is a creative director and founder of her own company. So you will hear from an amazing founder who has, I find, one of the best and most forward-thinking business models out there. So please come back and check. Also, do not forget to send us questions. We will have Elisa Lick's book, Make Your Mark, that we will send out to people if we love your questions. So please remember to come back, and thank you so much for checking us out today. Thanks.
Thank you, Stacy.
Thank you.